Okay. Today we are going to be continuing more or less the conversation we were having yesterday, which is about iOS 11 drag and drop. And we're going to be doing something. Okay, cool. All right, so it works on the simulator. Great. So yesterday we were talking about implementing iOS 11 drag and drop and the different drag and drop delegate methods that you can use basically for a single view. And the part that was confusing to me, and not really confusing, like I know you could do it, was if you have multiple views that you want to potentially drag, you can do that, but you have to do a bunch of hit testing and then casting to find out what the actual correct view is, which is a ton of work. And it makes you much less likely to do it, I think. So what's nice is that it's made much simpler by a bunch of convenience methods that have been added to UICollectionView and UITableView. And they're pretty similar. The WWDC talk by Tyler Fox is awesome. It's really well done. It's kind of at the right pace and level, at least for me, at the right level of granularity to help understand what's going on. But still, for me personally, I need to walk through it all to actually get it done and figure it out. So today's going to be a little bit of a quicker one. And I've created a really basic sample project that I'm going to start talking through. Let me just get organized for 1 second. Okay, so we're going to pull up the sample project that I have here. Hold on a second. Table view drop. Man, what is going on here? Sorry, guys. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, sorry. Okay, we're going to do this from scratch. We're going to move fast. Okay. Good. Okay, this is the kind of sample beginning one. And I've got my notes. Okay. Let's review the starting point here. We go to the storyboard, and we've got a starting view controller right here, which doesn't do much except that it has two container views. It has a colors collection view, and it has a colors table view. And the idea here is that this colors collection view is essentially like a palette of colors. And your table view, so the collection view is going to be the source of the color. Say we're an artist. And our colors table view is going to be where we want to drag the colors to. So that'll be our drop site. Let's see if this thing will fire. Oh, no. Simulator. Sorry, all kinds of technical bugs today. There we go. Okay, sweet. So we have our collection view up here, our table view down here, and the goal is to be able to drag some colors down from the collection view and put them, maybe it's a queue, maybe it's a palette we want to create down here in our table view. So quickly running through, we have a empty app delegate, so nothing crazy going on here. We have a table view, which it is not a drag delegate. I was kind of getting things set up earlier. So basically we have a very simple table view, and the model is in an array of UI colors. So just to keep it really simple. And basically it loads up, and we have no colors in our initial table view, as you saw before. And we're just taking a generic cell with an identifier of color cell from the storyboard. We are pulling the color out of the array for this particular cell for row, and we're just setting its background color. Very simple. So then very similar is going on with our collection view. We are doing the same kind of thing, but we are going to start with a bunch of candidate colors, which red, purple, green, blue, and brown, and we're just loading those in. Number of rows and sections is just the number of candidate colors. And then for our cell for item at index path, we are getting the color here. We're pulling this, we're dequeuing the cell, getting our color from the model, setting its background color, and returning it. So again, keeping it very simple. Okay, so let's get started. So we're going to take this in two phases. The first one is we want to be able to, again, peel or lift a color from the collection view. And to get started, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a drag delegate, and we set the collection views drag delegate to self. And I already have this set up. This is an extension, and it's the drag delegate. And there's only one required method on this delegate. Let's go take a look. And that is items for beginning session at index path. This is very, very similar to the one we did yesterday, where there was items for beginning with the session for the for the view. But this is great because not only do we have the session, we also have the index path. So if we wanted to do something custom, and we do in this case, we want to throw back, give back different data depending on which cell the person's tapping, all we have to do is look up in our model and pull it out with the index path. So much easier than doing hit testing and casting. This is really great. So we are going to do just that. When this method gets called, items for beginning session, we're going to get the color via the candidate color. So we're just going to pass in index path.row. We're going to create an item provider of type NS item provider with a UI color. And I picked this because, again, just like NS string from yesterday, color is something that's supported out of the box. So that's why I selected color. And then we just create a drag item, just like yesterday, based on the item provider. And we return an array of one drag item. So what that gives us is the following. That allows us to say we can hold long press on a cell, lift it out, and then do whatever we need to do with it. We can drag it around. The default behavior is that they desaturate the color of the cell, and they just give you the entire cell itself to drag around. Now remember, these are two different view controllers here. This is the table view controller. This is the collection view controller, and we're able to drag seamlessly between the two. And if we had another app open, on an iPad, we could drag between those two as well. So that's kind of the very simplistic implementation of a drag delegate for a collection view. And a drag delegate for a table view is almost the exact same thing with just the naming conventions. Like here, instead of collection view, it's table view. Here, instead of UI collection view drag delegate, it's UI table view drag delegate. So for the most part, they are the same. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our color table view controller. This is going to be where we're going to generate our palette. And we're going to implement the drop delegates. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So to start, I'm going to create an extension. On color table view controller. It's going to conform to UITableView drop delegate. And again, Command B it. We will have Xcode fill out the stub for us. Okay, the only required method is perform drop with coordinator. So again, this is going to be pretty similar to what we did yesterday. We are going to be the coordinator. Let's take a look at that. That's a little different. Okay. It has a bunch of items and a destination index path, which is an optional. If the person is trying to drop the drag item onto a place that actually has an index path, like it's actually in the table view, it'll give you that. Otherwise, it'll give you nil, and then you can decide what you want to do. Another thing, on the drop coordinator is, there is a session. We'll find that out the hard way. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the index path where the person is trying to drop the drag item onto. So we're going to do that by saying let destination index path equal coordinator dot destination index path. And we see, again, that is an optional. So that means if someone's trying to drop something into the existing table view that would correspond to an index path, it's going to give it to us. If it's outside, like if it's too far down, it's going to return nil. So what we are going to do then is we're going to say, okay, if you're trying to drop it somewhere that doesn't exist right now, we're going to just set it to 0, 0. So index path, row 0, section 0. Okay, now we're going to use the same convenience method that we used yesterday to load the data. So we're going to say coordinator dot session, because it has a session property on it, and we're going to use the load objects convenience method. So we can tell it we're only looking for one type of class. So we're going to be looking for UI color self, and then we're going to pass in completion handler, and we're going to have items. Okay, so now here's where we're at in this scenario. The person has dropped a drag item, and we know that it's a color. So what we want to do is we want to pull, it could be more than one color. We don't know. In our case, we know it's one, but we need to be able to handle more than that. We want to take that color. We want to update our model. So we want to insert it into the colors array at the right place. And then we want to insert rows at index paths in the table view. So let's get started there. So since we know we could force cast let color items equal items as, an array of UI color. Then, since we're going to potentially have an array of index paths we're going to be updating the table with, we're going to do index paths equals an array of index path. And then we're going to enumerate through these color items. So we're going to say for we'll make a tuple with an index and an item in color items enumerated. So when you use enumerated, it's pretty sweet because it gives you a tuple of both the index of the item you're iterating through and the item itself. We're going to say, then we're going to actually get the index path. We're going to say let index path equal index path. So we're going to say destination index path like we set up here. Dot row plus index, so we're going to add it to the right place. And then for section, it's fine for us just to say 0 because we know we're only dealing with 1. Then we're going to say we're going to get reference to our model or data source, and we're going to insert item, which is our color, at index path, which we just generated. Oops. And then we're going to take our index paths array that we're tracking locally here, and we're just going to append index path. Okay, so we're going to loop through all of the possible colors. Oh, sorry, this needs to be index path dot row. Yeah. Because you want to insert at an index. Yeah, at an integer. Okay. Now we're going to go through. We're going to get a reference to our table view, and we're going to use the insert rows at an array of index paths, which is great because that's what we have. With animation, we'll do dot fade. Okay. So I have a dentist appointment in 38 minutes. So we only got a few more minutes on this session. We will pick this one up again tomorrow. So we have here, you see it doesn't do anything yet, right? We are dropping it in. So there's a couple things we have to do. One, and I forgot to do this the first time and it really kicked me in the butt. We have to get our table view dot drop delegate equals self. Okay. And we're dragging it around, and there we go. And then if we want to drop a blue one in between, we can do that. So that is the absolute bare bones of getting the drop delegate working. We're going to make it a little bit nicer. Well, one that we can do a safety check. It's very similar to what we did yesterday. We can say table view can handle, and we can basically say return session can load objects. Okay, so what this is saying is when a drag item is being hovered over our drop zone here, which is our whole table view, we get asked the question by the system, can you handle, do you want to handle these drag items? And we basically say, okay, session, can you load objects of class UIColor? Basically, do you have are any of those drag items you have in there a UI color? If not, then I'm not interested at all. If so, one or more are UI color, then sure, no problem. Another thing we can do to make this a little nicer now, drop session update. Okay. So again, similar to yesterday, we're going to make a proposal. Return UITableView drop proposal. Now, this is similar to yesterday's, but different because we're actually going to be subclassing the drop proposal as a UITableView drop proposal. So our operation is going to be, again, either copy or move. We're going to start off with copy. And intent is there's a couple options. And again, the WWDC videos do a great job at this, but we'll just talk through it quickly. Insert at destination index path means that you want to actually add a new row into your table that you're going to see. So you're actually going to see it populate in the table. The next one, insert into destination index path, is like if you have a list of folders. So if you have a table view of folders and you have a document that you're dragging around, you would choose insert into destination index path. And that will tell the system that you want to drop the new item directly into that row at the index path, like you're dropping it into a folder, and you're not going to update the UI with it's showing it afterwards. Automatic does both. It gives you the opportunity to drop it in between two existing rows, in which case you do an insert, or you can drop it right on top of an existing row, in which case it will be like a insert into. But we're going to start off with just the basics. We're going to do the easier one, which is the at destination index path. So we're going to be doing a copy and an insert at. So let's try that out. Okay, so we're going to drop it in. See how it bumps it down now because it allows you to insert. So now we're going to drop a blue one right in between these two. And it gives you that space in between, which is awesome. Let's see visually what happens if we do insert into destination path. See if we can see it here. So we'll load up a couple. Okay. So you see that it turns gray, and it's trying to get you to drop it into, like, imagine those were folders. We wanted to drop this red into like our happy color or our sad color folder. That's what this would be for. And it no longer produces that space in between for you. I'm pretty sure if we drop it here, my guess is that the destination index path is going to be nil. And then we're going to set it to 0, so it's going to go to the top. So let's find out what happens. That was wrong. So it actually does give us the index path of where it would drop into. Oh, okay. I guess it gives us the index path so that we could then update this green one and insert it into there. Okay, that makes sense. There is more to talk about for table views. I think we're going to keep it short today. Again, just to recap, with our collection view and table view, drag and drop delegates are very similar. There are some slight differences. You set, typically in your view did load, your collection views drag or drop delegate equal to whatever. In this case, it's self. It doesn't have to be self, right? These are really good for tutorials, but you might actually create your own object that conforms to this drag delegate. In order to produce your drag item, you get a provider by using your model, and you just pass in this case, index path.row to get the instance of your data source. You create an item provider with that, and then you create your drag item, which you return an array of drag items. It could be more than one. Then in our table view controller, where we're going to be this will be the drop delegate. And remember, one table view controller could be both a drag and a drop delegate. They're now recommending you use these protocols for table view reordering and a UI collection view reordering. So that's something we can look at as well. But there's 3 primary methods. A, are you interested in handling the session? Okay, can you give me a proposal for how you'd like to handle this? And C, you want to perform the drop with the coordinator. So what are you going to do when the drag items are dropped on you? How are you going to handle it? And we do that via the coordinator, which has got a lot of information on it. You get a destination index path, like where is the person trying to drop it into. This again is the convenience. This is the convenience method to load information from the session, and it basically restricts it to items of a certain type of class, and it doesn't give you any errors, and it does everything it returns on the main thread for you, so you don't have to dispatch to the main queue. And we basically loop through everything that was dropped onto us that is UI color. We update our data model. We gather up an array of index paths that we want to update our table with, and then we insert those rows at the index path. So it's pretty straightforward, and it's a really nice addition to It's a really nice addition to the UI view specific drag and drop stuff that we looked at yesterday. It allows you to do much more real world stuff, like something like this. I can imagine a ton of examples. Like maybe this is a playlist, right? And you've got your music catalog up here, and you've got your queue of different songs down here, and you can just go ahead and drag and drop it to create your queue. That is actually, something that I wanted to bring up. We might actually do that as an example. That's a little more complicated because we need to be able to create an item provider and a drag item based on something that is not necessarily going to conform to the right delegate methods. Like an audio player, like an audio track, won't conform to NS item writable or whatever it is you need to be able to make this thing. So there's another WWDC session about more complicated data transfer with drag and drop that we're going to be getting into as well soon. So thanks, and any questions, any comments, please leave them down in the comments. Subscribe. We're going to be doing this every Monday to Friday for now, 8 p.m. Eastern, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.